Hi Molly, this is Mrs. Jansen, and we are going to be making art together. Today we're going to start a lesson on lines. I'm going to let you know what kinds of materials you will need. You're going to need 2 sheets of white paper that you can see right here. You will also need a glue stick, and yours should look like that, a Sharpie marker, which looks like this, and a Crayola green marker. Yours might be different than that. In your bag, you should have gotten tissue paper piece like this, a yellow paper circle, and a pink paper circle. Before we get started on our main project, we are going to take 1 sheet of white paper and our black Sharpie markers, which are permanent, and we are going to work on drawing some different kinds of lines. Now, Sharpie markers are different than regular markers, and that is because they are called permanent markers. I bet your parents don't like you to use these markers very often. Now, these markers, because they are permanent, they do not come out of your clothes. So you're going to take the cap off, place it on the back of the marker so we don't lose the cap, and you are going to use this marker only to write on your paper. This tip, like I said before, can only touch your paper. The first kinds of lines that we are going to draw are going to be straight, vertical lines. That means that they go from the top to the bottom. They go up and down. And I'm going to draw several up and down lines. I'm putting little arrows at the top and the bottom of these vertical lines so that we remember they go up and down. The next kind of lines we are going to draw are horizontal lines. Horizontal lines, instead of going up and down, go side to side. So they go from one edge of the paper or side of the paper to the other. They look like they're laying down. I'm going to put a couple of little arrowheads on each of these, the sides of these horizontal lines, so we can remember that they go from one side to the other. The next kind of lines that we are going to do are diagonal. They usually go from one corner to the opposite corner. And I'm going to draw a couple of these straight diagonal lines together. And again, they go from kind of one corner of the paper usually to another. And I have different directions of diagonal lines that you can do, and they can cross over each other, like I've shown you here. I want you to take a few minutes and go ahead and draw some diagonal lines near each other. Now, the next lines that we are going to do are not going to be straight. They are going to be what we call curvy. And you can see that they kind of are wavy or they curve and round themselves. I'm going to do a couple of these next to each other, just like I did with the lines above. Now, curvy lines in nature might look like a snake. So I'm putting a little head on this curvy line with a little tongue. Make it look like a snake. You can make curvy lines that are wide or ones that are closer together, like this. Try making a couple different sizes of curvy lines. Now, the next kind of line that we will work on are not going to be curvy, but straight. And they're going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. They're slightly diagonal, but they're connected. And these can be used to make things like mountains, or maybe the edges of pine trees. We call these kinds of lines zigzag. Go ahead and make some zigzag lines next to each other. I think zigzag lines are a lot of fun to do. So if you need to pause, take a moment and make some zigzag lines. The next kind of line we're going to do are slightly curvy, but they start in the one center and they spiral out. We call them spiral lines. And as you can see, they start small and they always go ahead and get bigger. This is a big, continuous spiral line. Go ahead and try making a spiral line on your sheet. I'm going to start on another one, as you can see right here. We're going to let it grow bigger and bigger. Spiral lines are a lot of fun to do. The next kind of line we're going to do is going to go back to our vertical and horizontal lines, and we are going to connect them together and make what are often called castle lines. These castle lines have a horizontal, which is laying down, next to a vertical, which is standing up. So standing up, laying down, standing up, laying down, standing up, and as you can see, we have what looks like the top of a turret or a part of a castle. So go ahead and try making your own castle lines, vertical and horizontal, vertical and horizontal. And again, you can make that go across your paper. Sometimes people find these are hard to draw. So go ahead, this is your practice, and try drawing some of those. The next kind of line that we're going to do are going to be what we call dashed lines. They're going to be straight, like our diagonal and horizontal and vertical lines, but we are going to break them apart. So we'll put them next to each other, like this. This is a horizontal dashed line, and now this is a vertical dashed line. You can also make spiral dashed lines, where we break up the line and they are not connected, but we put them really close together so that they appear to be a spiral even though they're not touching each other. Dashed lines can be done in all different sizes. Go ahead and try making some of your own. The next kind of lines are kind of like dashed, but we're going to put them next to each other in threes. I've done vertical, like this, and then 3 horizontal, like this. And we put them together so that they appear to make a line all in of themselves. So we've got vertical and horizontal. So I want you to go ahead and try and make a kind of patterned line like these. You can also do this with curved lines. And we're going to go ahead and make short curved lines that are, again, close together and in a series that follow each other. So they're dashed in a way, but they're curved dashed lines. They kind of look like a bunch of smiley faces. You can do them on their sides as well. So go ahead and try making a bunch of different curved dashed lines. Take your time, practice all the different kinds, and you can pause this video if you need. You might even decide that today this is all that you will work on. Now we're going to start our line project. Now you're going to need your other sheet of white paper. So you want to get that ready. And then you're going to grab your glue stick and you're going to need your Sharpie marker. And this glue stick, you want to remember, you always want to have the cap on. We're going to take it off. We're going to grab our yellow circle that you got in your bag, and you're going to add glue to it. And we're going to place this circle at the top corner of our paper. Then we are going to take our pink circle, and you're going to take the glue stick again, put glue on it, and we are going to place this circle on the lower half of your page a little bit to the side. You want to press it down and smooth it out. Now, you want to make certain after we have both our yellow circle and our pink circle glued on that we are going to take the cap of our glue stick, we're going to put it away so it doesn't dry out, And then we're going to grab our Sharpie marker. Now remember, our Sharpie marker is permanent. That means that we are very careful with it, and we do not put it anywhere except for on the paper. So put your cap on the back of the pen so you don't lose it, and you're going to carefully draw some different lines that we learned how to do from our pink circle with our marker. You are going to add first the stem of our flower. That's what we are going to make this pink circle. So you're going to take some straight vertical lines and you're going to draw them from the pink circle all the way down to the edge of your paper. These two vertical lines we will later color in and it will become the stem of our flower. Now we are going to use different kinds of lines that we will draw from the center of this pink flower. You can see all of our lines that we drew. And we are going to use these different kinds of lines to make our petals. So we've got some horizontal lines, and we are going to place those above our pink circle to make the first set of petals. And as you can see, I'm putting the vertical lines on top of horizontal, and we're going to put them next to each other. We're going to keep drawing those up from our pink circle, just like this. And now we're going to add our next petal with some zigzag lines. Now again, these are diagonal lines placed together so that they make these wonderful, fun, little zigzaggy lines. Now I have one going up at the top, but I think I'm going to put one to balance out my flower on this side. So again, zigzags are a lot of fun to do. Now, the next kind of petal that we are going to do, I'm going to use another kind of line, and you can choose whatever lines that you want to do, but I'm going to use some curvy lines, and I'm going to make them come out the side on the other side of my horizontal and vertical, and I'm going to put these curved lines next to each other. Now, like the zigzag lines I did, I'm going to take some curvy lines and have them go on the opposite side of this pink center of my flower, and we're going to make some curvy petals on this side as well so that they're even. Now I'm going to look at these spirals, and I'm going to add some spiral lines for petals to my flower. And I'm going to make them kind of small spirals, but I'm going to put one on top of the other. And as you can see, they're slightly different sizes, but of course I love doing spiral lines. So we're going to put them, look at that, 3 of them next to each other. Now again, I want to make sure that I have them on the other side of my flower as well. So I'm going to add some more spirals, and again, on top of each other, make them go. Yep. And I think you'll like making a lot of spiral lines as well. So you can look at our lines on our paper, our practice one, and you can add some more lines for petals. And I'm going to do these castle lines. Again, remember they've got the horizontal, vertical, or the standing up and the sitting down. I'm going to fill in this spot over here. I'm going to have standing, laying, laying, standing, laying, standing. You're just going to keep adding those lines next to each other, vertical and horizontal, until we get our castle line petals here on our flower. And I'm going to put one right next to the one that I just did. And like I said, this can be tricky, so if you need to pause, go ahead and pause this video. I'm going to add some more castle lines down below so that we have them in more than one spot on your flower. And it's kind of a tight little fit, but you can go ahead and put them next to each other. Now I want you to look at all your different kinds of lines. Maybe you want to put some dashed lines in like I'm going to over here. And again, I'm going to put two sets of dashed lines. One are longer than the other ones that I did initially, which are shorter. I'm going to find another spot and I'm going to go ahead and put a couple more dashed lines in. Now you can fill in your spaces, if you have any left, with any other kinds of lines that you want. Now I think I'm going to make some really tight little curvy curly Q lines, as you can see, and I'm going to fit some right in here. And you can go ahead and try doing those yourself. And I think I'll put some more straight lines that will come out in some of my empty spaces. And you can choose whatever kinds of lines that you want to add. So here you go. I'm going to add just a couple more horizontal lines next to each other. So go ahead and fill in the spaces around your pink circle so that your flower is going to be nice and solid. So I've got another kind of zigzag line, ones with little short ones and tall ones, and then I put a couple of vertical lines in. So go ahead and fill in around your space. Now, we are also going to add two different kinds of lines around our yellow circle, which will be our sun. Our sun is what helps our flower to grow. So I'm going to use some vertical lines, and you can see, looking at our sheet of paper, you can choose any kind that you want. But I'm going to put these lines, straight lines coming out of the sun, and you can see this is what a lot of people do. But I'm not just going to put these straight lines in. I'm going to put some wavy lines or curvy lines in as well. And these curvy lines kind of make it look like the sun is hot, and those hot sun rays are going to help our flower to grow. So go ahead and put in two different kinds of lines around your yellow circle. So that means that it can be the sun shining on our flower. Now you're going to take your green Crayola marker. Mine has two tips, but I bet yours only has one, and that's fine. Put your cap on the back of your marker, and then you're going to go ahead and we're going to fill in those two vertical lines that we put in the first place. And these are going to be our stem. After coloring in our stem, I'm going to add a couple of diagonal lines to make some leaves. And I'm going to fill that in with the green. We are almost done with our project. Put your cap back on your green marker, and then you're going to grab our last little item, which is the pink tissue paper that came in your bag. You're going to need your glue stick as well. So you're going to take this tissue paper and crinkle it up kind of into a ball or a wad of paper. And what you will find is that what we have done is we've put a bunch of different lines into our tissue paper. See, you can see all the different lines. We've got a vertical, and we've got some horizontal, and of course you could see diagonal and all kinds of lines. We're going to take the cap off of our glue, put some glue on the back of our pink tissue paper, and you're going to gently press this textured tissue paper into the center of our flower so that our flower's center stands out. So we have our flower with the textured center in pink, petals with lots of different lines, and our sun with our two different kinds of straight and curvy lines. This is the end of our line project. You can use a marker to color in the petals, and I look forward to seeing what it is that you do with your finished line.